hopefully today will live up to the last time.
Well, the vibe is, that I'm meeting people for the first time and going for a walk with them.
Yeah.
Which is not totally true of you. Even when we did our walk, obviously I already knew you because you're my next door neighbour. But it was kind of like that first chat of getting to know who you are, where you're from, all that sort of stuff. And if there's one thing I've been told over and over again, it's like never try to revisit a conversation. Once you've done it, and then, that's just it. Too bad. If you lost it, I mean, it was gold.
Yeah, but you never know, we might accidentally get back there. Yeah, God, it's a lot busier on the roads at the moment.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everyone's given up, haven't they?
I think so.
Parks are rammed.
Yeah, all the kids just kind of play with each other now. I think they've just given up on all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We're still trying to be as kind of responsible as possible, but yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, well apparently the police have given up too.
Oh really?
My friend was saying that they were going through London fields and there were just sort of, seas of people. And the cops were just kind of sat there in their car watching, but not actually doing anything.
I guess the whole thing started to feel a bit more normal now, but I was thinking like for our kids, for all kids, it's kind of an amazing and weird experience to have had in your life.
Totally. But then also it's that weird thing with kids where it's sort of like...
Just get on with it, yeah.
They're just sort of like, I guess, these things happen.
But they'll talk about it. It'll be like, what was it like in the spring of 2020,
Yeah.
What was your lockdown like?
It's weird how those big events also change your behaviours. Like, when I was a kid, there was a massive drought in New Zealand.
Really?
In Auckland, and little things that I still do now are from that period. Like, I never leave the tap running when I'm brushing my teeth or something like that.
Right.
And I always get a bit weird about that when my partner's leaving it running. I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa. Wasting water here. But that was bad. Like, that was like, we all had to use the same bath water and no one was allowed to shower. And then you had to use the old bath water to like flush the toilet and stuff. It was like proper, not good. They're just about to have another drought there as well, actually.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. It's pretty bad. Apparently that's a thing that can happen here in London.
Yeah, it does happen every so often, yeah. Particularly in the south of England.
Yeah. I just associate England with rain and grey skies generally. but
No, it happens, and they have there'll be like a hose pipe ban and
yeah,
stuff like that, and people will be asked to try and conserve water as best they can.
Yeah.
I remember having it happen a couple of times in my life, but I don't remember it ever getting desperate.
Yeah.
But that might be, maybe it was for some people, I'm not sure.
Were you born in London?
No. Actually, I was born in St Albans, which isn't very far away in Hertfordshire, but I only lived there for a few months. And then I moved north, and that's where I grew up mostly.
In Yorkshire?
In North Yorkshire.
What, Leeds?
Not too far from Leeds, closer to York.
Oh, yeah.
A town called Thirsk. Yeah, I grew up just near there.
How long for?
Well, it's a boring but complicated picture.
Yeah.
I lived a bit in Hertfordshire, lived there 2 or 3 stints, lived in County Durham, lived in America. It's kind of all over the place, but more North Yorkshire than anywhere else.
Yeah. And then London after that?
Yeah, I moved to London when I was 19 for university.
And you've been here ever since?
Yeah, I moved to Highbury, in fact. Well, pretty much.
What was that like?
What was Highbury like?
Yeah, because what year was that when you moved to Highbury?
Maybe around 97.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So pretty different then, because I was talking to George up the road and he was saying that, well, it really wasn't until the kind of mid-2000s that it started to go up market, but that before then it was very much not the case.
I think that's right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable how much it's changed. It's a difficult thing to quite sort of reconcile myself with. I feel quite ambivalent about it because, I don't know, it's not all good.
Yeah.
The gentrification. It used to feel like Islington was kind of a mix of different economic strata, but a kind of shared spirit or something like that, where like it was famous for being full of kind of champagne socialists as well as socialists who don't drink champagne. And that was what kind of kept everyone together. And it does feel like it's changed quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of on the one hand bummed about that, but on the other hand I'm like happy for there to be a nice cafe I can go to.
Cheese shop.
A cheese shop.
Yeah.
And on the third hand, it's like well, it's my fault. Do you know what I mean? As much as it's anybody's fault,
Yeah.
I'm part of that problem. So I
Yeah.
don't really know what to say about it apart from,
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think there's kind of like, I think there's good gentrification and bad gentrification.
yeah,
And I think when gentrification is bad is when, I think, you know, you were here so long ago, you know, before it became what it is today, that, you know, you're part of that community, you know. And I think when gentrification's bad is when people come here and don't want to be part of it, warts and all kind of thing. They're sort of, you know, they just expect it to be this other thing and kind of don't.
There have been things that we've tried to get involved with locally, like there's the Roundhouse, which is a...
Yeah, I saw that for the first time.
I mean, it's still not been sorted, but that was a really important centre for kids. And that sort of then, half of that, the land there got sold off for flats, and
Right.
part of the deal was supposed to be to redevelop the youth centre, but that never happened properly.
Right.
So that's kind of gutting. That's the kind of thing that I would care about.
Yeah. I heard someone telling me like that was a big issue with crime. The increase in crime locally was that, you know, when the government took away all the
Yeah.
kind of like youth projects and that kind of thing and after school stuff, you know, that's
Yeah.
sort of no good. But
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that. And I think there's like much more of like a rich-poor divide now in Islington than there used to be.
yeah, right.
And I think there was a very like fluid thing. We can go this way or that way, whatever you like. You want to go this way?
Yeah, I really like this road up here.
Yeah,
It
which one
seems
is this?
Like
Kelross.
Victorian.
Sotheby Road, my friend lives down here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was more fluid. You know, most people went to sort of state schools, whether they were rich or not. Everyone kind of got to know each other.
Yeah.
And it just feels like there's a contingent of people that have moved here that just aren't really that interested in the community. Their kids probably go to private schools somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're just kind of here because it's lovely.
Yeah.
And probably because it's like close to the city. I don't know. That's my suspicion.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's easy to sort of assume that. I'm not saying I've really got much hard evidence that that's the case.
It feels that way as a
Yeah.
relatively new person to the neighbourhood. It sort of, you know, I always found Highbury Barn such a weird group of shops, you know. You just like fancy cheese shop, fancy Italian deli, chicken shop.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like,
I like that though.
it was great. I mean,
The cheese shop and Demario's have been there for as long as I've been here.
have they?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think they've been there 20 years at least.
And Demario is so good.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It's just a giant money hole. So
Totally.
I just need to be like restrained in that shop. It's terrible.
I hear you, man. I totally hear you. It contains all of the most delicious things.
Yeah. They're really good at upselling as well. Anything else?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
actually, yeah.
Yes. Any number of other things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is what it is, I guess. I don't know. I was thinking that gentrification could end up being this kind of donut with a massive hole in the middle of it, you know, as it spreads outwards.
Yeah.
You know, places like Knightsbridge and Mayfair, maybe Mayfair a bit less so, Kensington, they kind of like there's no neighbourhood there anymore. No one actually sort of lives there.
Well, that's how it works, right? It's like this. It's a real, like, the bad gentrification is this kind of, it's very consumery. So, you know, when in the early days of gentrification, it's when you get people coming and they're kind of adding to the community and they're creating new stuff and that kind of thing. And then they do all that work.
Yeah.
And then it kind of attracts a bunch of people, which pushes the rent up, and then everyone has to leave. And so you get left with people who kind of came to enjoy the stuff but aren't actually
Yeah.
contributing.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. Of course. They came to enjoy the stuff, but they're now not contributing, of course.
and then it's how you get those, like, really, like you said, sort of soulless
Yeah.
parts of town, because then, you know, the only people that can afford to be on the high street is like Costa Coffee or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Well, I guess my dream is that at some point Knightsbridge becomes decrepit, you know, and
Yeah.
not taken care of, and like students move in and squatters, and then like transform it again,
be great.
starting from the inside out.
Well, it's pretty much empty, isn't it? It's like just
I
like,
know, yeah, no one
isn't
actually
it just
lives there.
full of
Yeah.
like oligarch money
Totally.
and like,
Pimlico, foreign investors, yeah, Pimlico's like
Yeah.
that too. There's just no one there.
yeah. My mate lives in Soho.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the few people I've known that's ever lived there, and he was saying it was really bizarre during this lockdown because very few people live there, so it was just empty the whole time.
Yeah.
I took a ride through there once as well. It just was like 28 days later or something. It was bizarre.
Yeah, totally.
Riding down Carnaby Street at 5 p.m. on a Friday, and we were the only people on the street.
Yeah.
Mental. But yeah, like Soho's the same, eh? I mean, there's a lot of business there, but
Yeah, Soho's got that sort of retail element going on.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's kind of mostly not as cool as it used to be, but when I first moved to London, that's where we went out
yeah,
fully. Like, that was where it was all happening.
yeah,
It was really like the centre of the kind of really beating gay scene, but it was, you know, the most exciting part of town to be in, basically.
yeah,
And gradually, bit by bit, you know, some things started appearing east.
yeah,
When we first used to go to Hoxton Square, there was just one bar.
oh, yeah,
There was just one.
yeah,
There was no Shoreditch. Like, that wasn't a thing.
yeah, yeah,
You know, Brick Lane was like some curry houses and a bagel shop, and one bar in Hoxton Square, and we used to have a beer in the square. You know,
The whole drum and bass scene was there, wasn't it?
yeah, it was, yeah.
Goldie's thing.
Also at the Angel as well.
Yeah.
He used to do one at the Angel.
It's crazy how quickly it changes.
All
eh?
moved east, yeah.
Yeah,
It was all still, it was a little bit west as well. Like, it was still cool to hang out around Westbourne Grove and Notting Hill and that sort of area a little bit back in
Yeah.
those days, which definitely is not anymore.
yeah. I mean, I was surprised by Notting Hill though, because there's still some. I don't know. There's.
Should we dash it?
Oh my God, are people buying pints?
Jesus Christ, there's a lot of people out. Holy smokes, I haven't seen anything like this.
Look at that.
Holy shit. This is like full release, isn't it?
Yeah. Had to happen though.
Oh my God.
Not a lot of separate. I mean, that just looks like a normal day, doesn't it?
Dude, it looks more than a normal day. I've been past here a number of times over the last few weeks. That is like, that's just full
Yeah.
party time. Oh well,
Second
big
wave.
social experiment. We can have we'll have a few days in the sunshine and then back to like our bedrooms.
Yeah, yeah. Frustrating thing is like all this. Like, you know, I was reading the paper the other day that it's only just like in the last few days that they've started telling people to self-isolate when they enter the country.
I know.
Yeah, like, there's been 15,000 people coming into this country every day
I know.
since it started, but we all have to stay inside.
It's really weird. It's the only country that stayed open
Yeah.
with no quarantining throughout this whole thing. Not quite sure what the reasoning is behind that. Do you know?
No. I mean, it's insanity to me. It's how you ever meant to contain it, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
It does seem completely mad. Who knows?
All the pubs are doing takeaway pints now,
Oh, that's nice. What, in plastic cups?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we'll have to see how the whole thing bears out, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like people are starting to say, we handled it really badly here. It's like, wait for the data, wait for the research. Nah, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, you sure you want us to wait for that? Because I'm pretty sure it's not going to make you look very good.
No.
The Americans, some study got released today that had they gone into lockdown 2 weeks earlier, they could have prevented 85% of the deaths there.
Wow.
I mean, that is, when you consider that something like 92,000 deaths in America alone. I mean, that's mental.
Well, yes, it is.
Badge of honour.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the stuff I'm not clear about is what's been marked down as a COVID death when it wasn't, whether there are some people that aren't reporting deaths, you know, not to sound horrible, but whether the person kind of would have died anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to say, isn't it? I don't know if there's ever going to be a proper honest assessment of the whole thing.
Oh, if they do it, it'll be a long time from now.
Yeah.
Sounds like convinced I've had it. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see what yours comes
I
back.
know. I've done the test to see if I currently have it,
Yeah.
and that was negative. But I've got this horrible feeling that I haven't. Lucy was telling me today that a couple of friends of ours who were convinced they'd had it didn't have it. You know, don't have the antibodies, and it's like, oh God, what if it turns out that we, you know, millions of us haven't had it who thought that we had?
Yeah.
That's
I think there'll be a fair bit of that.
Yeah, I think so. My sort of mantra all the way through the first few weeks was like, everyone's got this already. Everyone's got it already.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be immune.
I feel like there was a bit in Highbury though. Like there was just a lot of people I kind of knew who sort of had very similar
Yeah, it did
symptoms.
seem like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
I was in a room really early on. On March the 6th, I was in a room where 2 days later someone was confirmed with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I talked to that woman while I was there.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I reckon I got it. I know exactly when we would have got it if we did. And it was before Boris had shut everything down, like the pubs.
yeah,
But he was like suggesting that they close.
yeah,
And there was an Arsenal game on.
okay,
I think it was the last game.
yeah,
And I went to the Lamb, and it was after.
yeah,
It was like after a game, it was heaving. There were like
yeah,
tons of people in there, and I was like, yeah. I remember being like, this is probably not a good place to be right now, but because I mean, it was here, like it was
yeah,
definitely here in
Yeah,
a
right.
big way at that point, and it's a stadium of people. So, Jesus. Where did you say your parents?
yeah.
Where do they live?
Canterbury?
Oh, yeah, nice.
Are you alright with that?
Yeah, that's
It's
cool.
just down here.
That's cool that you've got them so close.
That's my sister.
Yeah.
Not the guy.
Hey, I wasn't going to judge. So, have you all always lived here? Was that kind of recent?
No, they moved down here, you know, shortly after I did.
Oh yeah, yeah. To this area too?
Yeah. But my sister was a bit later. But now we, you know, we work together. My sister kind of runs my company.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice, man. It's really
really
cool working
nice.
with family.
I love working with her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love working with her. I think there's something like specific about our relationship that makes it work, which is that in a bizarre way we didn't really grow up together
Yeah.
because we went to different boarding schools.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I sort of left for boarding school when I was 13
Mhm.
and basically just didn't really see much of my sister until I was in like my late 20s.
Were you older than her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just really quite disconnected from her. So now there's really not that much history between us apart from like early history when we were little.
Yeah.
We didn't have a sort of difficult time being teenagers together or whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So actually
What's the age gap between you guys?
3 years.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother and I have got 5, and
Right.
it's sort of similar, you know, we sort of hung out together when we were kids, and then by the time he was at high school, I'd finished and I'd sort of left home, and, you know, and we always used to fight a lot when we were kids, like a lot,
Really.
like terrible.
Wrestling.
Yeah, it's just like, I just used to beat him up a lot. Not bad, but just like hold him on the ground and give him noogies and
Totally.
stuff. And
Standard older brother behaviour.
yeah, you know, dead arm, dead
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah. Pulled a few of his teeth out.
Yeah. But yeah, we used to fight and argue all the time. But then, like, yeah, in recent years we're really close. We've talked about doing something together.
Oh, really? Some work.
Well, he owns a sandwich shop.
Okay.
Like a couple of them, one in Auckland and one in Melbourne. And just about to open another one in Auckland and
One in Auckland, one in Wellington, did you say?
Melbourne.
Oh, Melbourne.
Yeah, and then he's talking about opening. Well, he is just about to open another one in Auckland. So the second
Wow.
one there, and then
Do they all have the same name?
yeah, Hero Sandwich House.
Nice.
But it's
Does he sell, is it Heroes that he makes?
yeah. Well, initially he's still got a Hero roll in there, but he's got other stuff on offer now. But he's got a really good product, and we both love cooking. And I thought,
Oh, dude, it's my dream to open a sandwich shop.
oh, I love sandwiches. You know,
Yeah.
it's so hard to get like a good sandwich in London. You know, like
Yeah.
a proper, you know, in
A
New
real
York,
sandwich,
like, you're
yeah.
like, oh god.
No, I hear you, man. Look, there's definitely like the anemic British sandwich. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm down on that. But I think we've upped our sandwich game a little bit.
Max's is very good.
Max's is very good.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I love the idea of a slightly more bespoke sandwich.
Yeah. He's just really good with flavours and stuff, and just a bit more meat. You know, there's just like a big sandwich, you know. So
Does he do any pies?
no, he's just started doing like this beef brisket sausage roll though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good. That sounds really good. Where's he making this stuff?
It's really funny. He's got this amazing business model. When he was first starting it up, he needed a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
Because his shop was just like a storefront and didn't actually have a kitchen in it. And
right. Like a central kitchen kind of thing.
Yeah, he couldn't afford to fit it out with stuff, so he was like, I don't know where he came up with the idea, but do you have RSAs here? Or like Return Servicemen Association? Or?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, so they're kind of like, I think this
like
one,
a vet kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's attached to like a lawn bowls club.
Okay, yeah.
And they've got 2 kitchens for some reason.
Yeah.
And upstairs, and he was just went in and they didn't use their upstairs kitchen. He was like, do you reckon I could use your upstairs kitchen? And they were like, yeah, sure. And he's like, so they're like, no one uses it. He was like, how much? And they're like, I don't know, $100 a week or something. He was like, okay, great. So that's where he...
Sounds reasonable.
Makes all the sandwiches. My mum works with him.
Does she?
Yeah. Bless her. She's, she was a teacher, but she pretty much retired from teaching.
That's wicked. What about in Melbourne?
A friend of his is sort of running it, but
right.
and I think bought it, paid for it really, which is the model that he's kind of working towards. But we wanted to kind of look at opening something up here.
Dude, Hero Sandwich Shop in London.
Yeah.
Kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. Do it, man. Come.
I'm not joking. I've literally. Well, I am. I'm kind of serious, but I'm not joking about the fact that I have actually been fantasizing about opening a sandwich shop for the last few weeks.
Yeah. Oh well. Check him out on Instagram.
I will.
It's
I
good.
Definitely will.
But yeah, it's cute. My mum works in the kitchen with him.
Yeah.
Because he runs the shop during. So he works really long hours. He's a super hard worker, but he'll be up at like 4.
Really?
Doing all the assembly that morning.
Yeah.
And then he'll take the sandwiches up to the shop and he'll sell the sandwiches from 10 till 2 or whatever until he sells out. And then Mum stays behind the kitchen and cleans up and does the prep for the next day.
I think your key to like an Islington business is that you need to be able to sell alcohol as well. That's what I think. You've got to have a liquor license.
Yeah.
And then it'll really fly.
Beers.
Exactly. Beer and a sandwich. Yeah, the getting up really early bit, I wouldn't be so keen on. I was wondering about that. You definitely can't prepare stuff the day before.
Yeah, like Hori was sort of saying, that's why he kind of is trying to build this franchise model. So he's got like a really solid like menu and design layout and everything kind of done, and system as well, like for people to pick up really easily and quite easy to kind of maintain the quality, I think.
Right.
Kinds of sandwiches that he's got. So, because I was like, oh, why wouldn't you just come and start one here yourself? And he's like, I don't ever want to start a business ever again, like if I can help it. Like, just consumed him, like whole life for like 2 years.
Yeah, it's full on, isn't it?
Yeah.
But he's got I guess he's like figured out his customers now and what they want, and
yeah, and it's all about margins, eh?
Yeah. Does he have much wastage at this point, or has he kind of figured it out?
He's worked all of that out and everything, and
that's your big problem, isn't it? It's like throwing food away at the end of the day.
Totally. And then also like ingredients, it's like, how do I make something delicious out of cheaper ingredients?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because he'd had all these like grand ideas, and he had all these sandwiches which had all this like really epic ingredients, but the moment you start, the price per sandwich starts going up.
Yeah.
And you can't justify passing that on to the customer. Whatever, it can be quite tough. But
I wonder how expensive a sandwich you could do here and get away with it.
He charges $17, which is, I guess, 9 quid or something like that.
Okay.
8 quid, 9 quid.
Because it's a meal, right? It's a big sandwich.
It's a big sandwich,
It's not like a sort of £3.50 sandwich.
No. But people buy them at that price.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, he's sort of, what does he do? I think he does about $1,000 a day on a good day, which is pretty good.
That's great.
Turnover. But it's taken ages to get there, and just all this fine tuning and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, that's the bit, the sort of mature business. You go, yeah, this is cool. But the 2 years that you get to be a mature business is fucking hard.
Yeah. And just like so many times he was about to bail on it, So
I bet.
like, nah, that's enough.
Hello.
Hi, big cat.
There's a big cat. Hello. Need to get some exercise today.
Oh, like a proper workout.
Something, yeah. Finding it difficult to persuade my children to do anything with me. They've got a little bit agoraphobic. They don't really want to go out.
Really?
No.
I can sympathise with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's sort of like, Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting that, but I wonder what it's going to be like when they go back to school. It's going to be such a strange feeling.
Do you think it's because they're like a bit wary of it, or?
I think so. They say it's not. Like I say, are you worried about the virus? They say, no, it's not that. So I don't really know.
I guess it's just like get used to being at home, and it's a weird thing. It's so weird.
It is weird.
I like just getting on with stuff, but nothing about it's normal. It's just sort of.
It's shocking, isn't it? Like the first sort of feeling of like that kind of loss of liberty.
Yeah.
It still sort of sits there in my head, and I go back to it now and again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, no, this is War of the World stuff. Like this is real.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh God, some people are dying of Ebola in the Congo. You know, which is, and you kind of watch it and it's horrific and you can't believe it.
Yeah, and it feels distant though,
it
as
feels
well.
so far away. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is really difficult to kind of understand it because of that. I feel that way when things happen back home in New Zealand now. I feel very distant from everything. Like, there was that mosque shooting.
Yeah.
And it really affected everyone back home, And I mean, it was obviously like a real tragedy. But you just kind of, I think, being so far away, you don't really, I guess because it's in the news every day there, it's what everyone's talking about. Because when you're over here, it's sort of, get bits and pieces, but...
I guess it was also quite an unusual thing to happen in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, I mean, shootings aren't something that we deal with very often,
No.
I think the last one was like Aramoana or something like that. It's like in the 80s or something.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, maybe David Bain. Did you ever hear about David Bain?
No.
That was freaky, man.
What was that?
It's in Dunedin. It's like shot his whole family.
Ooh.
But he's just been released, actually.
Oh, God.
He got, it went all the way to the Privy Council. Like, they appealed all the way to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council squashed it. Because he'd always maintained his innocence.
Really? What, said he didn't do it?
He said he didn't do it. He said he was out on his paper run in the morning. And by the time he got back, his whole family was dead. And his dad did it, and then killed himself, but left David.
Right.
Which is, I don't know, it just seemed... There's actually a really good podcast about it called Black Hands.
Sounds a bit grim.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. Yeah.
I'm finding myself, never been one for a horror film, but I'm feeling particularly averse to anything horrible at the moment.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. I'm just trying to avoid all of that stuff.
Anything too real.
Anything too just horrible.
Yeah.
Real, I'm all right with.
Yeah.
I'm just not up for horrible.
Yeah. What qualifies as horrible?
Well, horror films or like serial killers.
Yeah.
I mean, I've for a long time I've avoided that kind of news as well.
Yeah.
I've sort of had this feeling of like, I fully understand that people are being murdered and raped, and I don't know if reading the new details of the latest case makes me any more compassionate or whatever.
No, I mean, it's definitely voyeurism, like a weird kind of voyeurism that drives that, I think, which is weird.
Yeah.
But that's like...
It's odd, isn't it?
Huge audience for that,
Yeah, it's funny to think about it. Like, what's the ethical sort of code there? Because the journalists will say, we're reporting the news, it's important that the public is informed, there's a kind of safety element to it maybe, like, be aware. But, I don't know, there's also kind of honouring the victim, I suppose, and making them feel like they've been recognised for their victimhood and if they want to be, that kind of thing. But by the same token, it's like, I mean, we couldn't all be, it would be hard for us to be any more super alert than we already are. Yeah. It's like, yep, get it. I know that this shit happens, it's fucking horrible. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, I feel that way just about the news cycle in general. That's something I've tried to avoid a bit more than usual.
Yeah.
Like usually I'd check CNN or BBC once a day, a few times a day, just reading articles and stuff, and I found that after a while of doing that in lockdown, I just couldn't It's just too depressing.
Yeah.
Like,
In a weird way, one of the problems about news, in my mind, is that it's such a kind of gigantic kind of beast
yeah,
that needs to be fed with new stuff all the time, that it's just full of opinion now.
yeah,
You know, because there's or conjecture, because there's just not enough, there just aren't enough facts to fill out the pages, if you know what I mean.
I know.
If you reduce the news just down to some fact reporting,
Yeah,
it would be a pretty slim read, right?
yeah.
So it's just full of all of this
tons
conjecture.
of conjecture. Yeah.
Just tons of it. It's
We're
like
hearing now that
Yeah.
there might be, you know, it's like,
an opinion and sort of
Yeah.
like, what's your view on this as a,
Yeah.
whatever, as a political analyst or as somebody that's, been teaching some social science or something at university. It's like,
yeah,
what's your opinion? I mean, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Another opinion.
So I've got a friend who works for Chinese state news,
Oh, really?
but in their London office, as a interview producer.
Holy smoke.
His job's to find interview candidates who support the ideas that they want supported. You know, we need someone to say this. Find them.
Communism works. That's fascinating.
Yeah, we had a good talk actually about it. It's an interesting job. He's always been in that field. But it's a really interesting job, that.
Is he Chinese or is he conflicted? Like, what's his relationship with his job?
I think, yeah, sort of. But then, you know, pays the bills, I suppose. I was thinking that, you know, when all that stuff was going on with Trump separating parents from their children and all that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I was just thinking, well, the Nazis,
Yeah.
you know, didn't know they were Nazis until they were. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right.
you're sort of,
Yeah.
you're just living in Germany. You
Yeah,
know? You've got
exactly.
this real jerk as a leader,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we did what? You know,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's that normalization of
Yeah, totally.
crazy shit, you know, like that.
I think you're right. I agree with you to a degree, but I do think that we are living in a different kind of age now.
Mm.
And it is much harder, I think. I don't know. We'll see. I think
See
it's
what
all,
happens
it's
in
all going to be,
November or whatever.
yeah, it's all going to be borne out in the next few months. The problem with the American electorate is that so many of them are just like completely turned off politics, like
Yeah.
really not interested, like completely disinterested. I was just reading a
And
study this morning that like,
completely distrust all the whole system. And
yeah, I think it's about 40% of the electorate is like just doesn't give a shit, you know.
yeah.
And they would have been the middle. They would have been the reasonable people in the middle,
Yeah.
funnily enough. You can come in if you want.
Oh, yeah.
Hello,
Close this gate.
Hey!
who are you on with?
Oh, I'm doing a music lecture.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This is Tu. You guys know Tu from next door, don't you?
Hi, no,
Hi there.
we don't know who's from next door.
Nice to meet you.
Deborah and Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. Hi.
Jeff's from New Zealand.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Auckland. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You done
Families
it?
from up north, though. You know,
No,
so-
you've got to squeeze a whole load of blood out of your finger.
I know.
Good luck to you. I'm not looking forward to it at all. You and me are both pretty squeamish about that, I think.
Nah, you'll be alright.
Well, they call it, I mean, they have to give it these horrible names. A lancet, you know. You have to like stick it into your finger and then squeeze the blood out. It's quite, I mean, you've got to get a decent amount as well. It's not just a drop, yeah. You've got to get like, you know, probably about 8 or 10 drops out, I would think. I'm mustering the courage to do it. See you later.
Beautiful garden.
I'll lock the door, Dad. Yeah, really nice. My dad's a very keen gardener.
Yeah. Beautiful.
One of our neighbours, the first one I met through George, is a woman called Kate. She she lived on this road, and she was actually born on the next road
Really?
in the house. Yeah.
Very rare you meet a native Londoner.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I hate to say it, but you used to meet more of them in Islington than you do now. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, there's not as many of them as there used to be.
Pushed out.
Pushed out, yeah.
So how long have they been in that place?
Same sort of thing, 20 something years, 23
Okay.
years maybe. Yeah. Pretty happy there.
That was the most classic New Zealand exchange.
Yeah. Yeah,
Where are you
exactly.
from? Wellington. He's like, you? I'm like, Auckland. He's like, oh well.
No more needs to be said.
Yeah. Good on you. I was like,
That's funny.
every other New Zealander from every other place. It's just like that.
I got a real soft spot for Wellington. I like it. It reminds me of a sort of... I don't know if this comparison will hold up for you, but it kind of reminds me of some of the bigger African cities that I've been to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got that kind of colonial feel to it, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, all those old wooden villas and stuff. And
Yeah,
it's got the best cricket ground in New Zealand. Basin Reserve.
absolutely. It's got those lovely botanical gardens there
Yeah.
on the hill.
I just could never live there. Too cold, too windy.
Very windy.
Wind gets right up me.
Yeah, the wind.
I cannot stand it.
The wind's mental.
Yeah, I can deal
It
with
really
rain.
is.
I can deal with eternal grey skies.
Yeah.
Just wind. Ugh.
Landing there in the plane is always like so hairy.
Real hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah, sideways plane kind of like.
My poor mum is a pretty nervous flyer,
Yeah.
and she, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, they flew into Wellington and had a really turbulent one coming in, and when they finally landed, she couldn't get out of her seat. She literally was like had to sit in her seat for another hour.
Oh.
Yeah, for a whole hour, just like calming herself down. She was like, just couldn't get out of the seat.
Jenna's terrible with flying.
Really?
Poor thing. It's just.
Yeah.
She gets like a paralytic with fear kind
Yeah.
of thing. And
Yeah.
we flew into New York a couple of years back and it got a bit bumpy. There's just some storm clouds and stuff around the airport.
Yeah.
Flew through those and a couple of little drops and that kind of thing. She was a wreck.
Yeah, totally.
Which is, and I'm usually not too worried about flying. I went through a patch of being quite bad and then I kind of got right again. But
Yeah.
I find when I'm with someone who's a nervous flyer, it kind of like rubs off.
It sets you off a bit. Yeah, I get that. I've definitely had a few panic attacks on planes.
Yeah,
Usually if I'm like really tired or like stressed or I'm like having to fly too much, and it always relates to claustrophobia. It's just,
yeah, right.
it's always just that feeling
Crammed
of
it.
like getting in there, the door's shut and now I'm on a ride that I can't get off
Oh,
for
yeah.
X number of hours. That feeling
Yeah.
is just like, even if I wanted to, you know, because I always think my comparison is with like a train. It's like, yeah, look, same thing on a train, but you are still on the ground, and if you needed to, in some sort of extreme situation,
Yeah.
you could pull the ripcord on a train.
It's going to stop you getting out.
It's going to stop and you're getting out and it's fresh air and you're on the land.
Yeah.
You just don't have that option on a plane.
No.
You've got to wait till you get to the other end of the ride.
So you're putting a lot of trust in someone
Totally.
that you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
I always find it comforting if they do with their little briefing.
Yeah.
If they do a good briefing, I'm like, oh, it's good, you know.
I heard a funny...
Peace sound, you know. Like,
I heard a sort of, hey man, how are you? I heard a sort of semi-funny joke the other day. Someone did in their stand-up routine, I can't remember what it was, but he was like, if I ever hear a woman's voice come over on the tannoy as the pilot, I'm always like, breathe a sigh of relief. Because I think, God, like, imagine how hard that journey was for them to become a pilot.
Totally.
They must be fucking good.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. I had the worst flight of my life once. This was about the time where it kind of went bad for me when I turned 21 for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And then when I was like 25, so it was bad for about 4 years. And then when I was 25, I was in South America for 3 months, just traveling through from the south to the north of South America, and then I flew out of Colombia at the end to New York to go visit some friends on my way to London actually, and we had to fly. I was like, you know, when the little map comes up of your route, I was like, we were just flying straight over Bermuda. I was like, oh, flying through the Bermuda Triangle, man. You know, so I was like, no, this is not good. And then an hour into the flight, the captain comes on. He's like, oh yeah, guys, it's your captain speaking, and we just got a bit of a weather system in front of us, because it was like, I think it was like a big moon as well, but like the actual lightning was just lighting up a storm front, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, if the plane didn't go down in that, could be pretty unlucky, I think. This could be something.
Yeah.